This is All Things ANSYS, a podcast from the technical support staff at PADT. Episode 74, Design and Digital Engineering Updates in ANSYS 2020 R2, and an update on news and events in the ANSYS world. Hi there, I'm Eric Miller, one of the owners of PADT, and your host on these podcasts. Welcome to mid-October 2020. I hope that all is well with all of you who are listening around the country and around the world. Sadly, the number of cases for this horrible virus are going up. Please stay safe out there. Before we jump into today's discussion, I want to go back to the topic of last week's podcast, LS-DYNA. A long-time LS-DYNA channel partner in Germany released one of the coolest videos I've seen in a very long time. I may have let slip a time or two that I'm a Lego nut. In fact, one of the reasons why I became an engineer was because of my childhood love of Legos. And this channel partner in Germany, Dynamore, did a really cool thing. They modeled 2 Lego cars in LS-DYNA as well as in the real world and crashed them. And then they showed the video side by side of the real crash and the virtual crash. It's really, really cool. Even if you're not an LS-DYNA user, I highly recommend it if you do anything with simulation. If you go to YouTube and search for the Lego Challenge space Dynamore, it comes up pretty fast. So the Lego Challenge and then Dynamore, D-Y-N-A-M-O-R-E, you'll find it. It's beyond cool, and it shows the really amazing capabilities of LS-DYNA and some pretty clever engineers. So do check that out. But let's shift gears and go to the other end of the mechanical simulation spectrum to the world of upfront design and the tools that ANSYS offers in those areas. And we're going to talk about what's new in R2. I had a nice chat with Robert McCatherine, who lives in Houston and is one of our pre-sales engineers, on what he liked in this latest release. All right, I want to welcome everybody. I'm joined today by Robert McCatherine, who is one of our support engineers. Robert, I can't remember how many times you've been on the podcast before.
I think it's been once or twice. I know I did an AIM one or something like that back in the past too.
Mm-hmm. Why don't you introduce yourself to everybody so they know what you do at PADT and how you got into the world of simulation?
All right. Well, I'm Rob McCatherine. I've been at PADT for about 2 years as an application engineer. I've focused mainly on the mechanical and discovery suites. Prior to that, I was working in the maritime and offshore industries as a structural engineer / naval architect, and I was using ANSYS for structural design of offshore structures and ships. So lots of plates and weldments and all sorts of fun loads here and there.
Yeah, and definitely an industry that's been taking a beating both environmentally and financially lately with was it 3 hurricanes that hit the Gulf Coast, or was it 4 this year?
Yeah. Well, even the last one shut down production to almost close to like 80% of rigs.
Wow.
Because they typically evacuate and they do a little survey and then they go back.
So it's a rough year for that industry. Hopefully next year, and very few people have had a good 2020. So let's hope we get it all out of the way. What we're here to talk about is some good stuff in 2020, which is yet another cool release of the design and digital engineering products, which is AIM, Discovery Live, and SpaceClaim. And we're going to just talk today about what's new in R2. These are great products. Let's go ahead and start with AIM. What's kind of your favorite couple of additions they've made at R2 in the AIM product?
Well, I think something that really helps out is they've brought over more of the mechanical mesh controls and the size function method, stuff like that. So you get a good fidelity refinement. And also as well, they've done a lot with like mesh biasing. So you can, start really meshing if you're doing like wall behavior, like you're doing fluid flow, and you want to have that nice mesh going up from a wall, you can do that. Additionally, they've improved some functionality with the visualization of beam and shell bodies. So
good.
Yeah, they're a bit easier to see here and there, especially result-wise. They've also added distributed mass, so you can apply it along edges. So if you have a beam model, they can toss that on there as well. You have multiple inertia loads, which is pretty nice. And a big one coming from the
Mhm.
ship side is
Yeah.
structural shell offsets.
Ah,
So
yes.
yeah, so we can do that now, top, bottom, mid. Just a lot of improvements taken directly from mechanical solvers, just pushed right into AIM.
Just exposing more and more of what people need in the AIM interface. So that's good to hear. That's good to hear because I mean, most of our users of AIM are people who are new to simulation or maybe occasional users of simulation, and they need a little bit more horsepower, but aren't ready to jump all the way into mechanical. So it's good that they're exposing these things over there. That's really exciting. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
good.
it's nice.
Good, 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 good. So that's AIM. Let's go ahead and jump. I want to finish up with Discovery Live. So let's jump to Space Claim, which is becoming our geometry tool almost exclusively these days at PADT. What more have they added? It seems like they keep finding stuff to make it better.
Well, they've finalized the beta features involving scripting.
Good.
And so that has now moved on. So now V19 is totally in, and now V20 beta is there available
Hmm.
if you want to do
Hmm.
beta options. Another big thing is they've done block recording, which kind of makes it like I guess like a CAD-wise a parametric modeler in terms of
Hmm.
parametric and direct, because then you can see it records per operation, and you can
Okay.
go back like you would in SolidWorks, edit
Hmm.
something.
Hmm.
They've also added constraint-based sketching following on that.
Oh,
Um,
very good. That
right.
as the biggest struggle I've had with Space Claim is because I grew up with constraint-based sketching, so I'm so glad they've added that.
Yeah, it keeps it
Good.
versus you having to select here and there
Hmm.
and keep it in your head straight of my selection here. I want to pull this and that. You can
Hmm.
actually just tag it and move
Good.
on.
Good.
Another thing is they've improved a lot with auto scanning, and you
Hmm.
can actually combine like like let's say you've got a topology optimization and you've
Hmm.
got like the parent body,
Right.
and in some parts of topology optimization you don't necessarily you want to keep some things. Well, you
Right.
can combine the parent and the topology optimization together, select what you want to keep, and you come out with something that looks a bit more realistic on the other
Hmm.
end.
Oh, that's really useful. Yeah. Cool.
Mm.
What else?
Let's see. They've got a lot of stuff for external documentation. So now you can, uh, as in the previous version, they introduced a lot of the meshing features into Space Claim, so you can
Right.
create your own mesh in there.
Hmm.
They've added on to it, so now it doesn't have to all be within one component or assembly.
Hmm.
Different people can work on different components and mesh them independently, and you can bring them all together.
So I think that's something worth stopping. When we're talking about what's new, and we've talked about this in the past about Space Claim, but I want to make sure people know that that's where we're doing most of our hex meshing these days. So you can import, and you can do tap meshing as well. So you can play with your geometry and create your meshes now in Space Claim. What's your opinion of that, and how are you finding it as a tool compared to, say, taking your Space Claim geometry into mechanical?
It's really easy to be able to tweak it because I
Hmm.
can start meshing a face,
Hmm.
and then if I want to tweak, I can pull individual nodes here and there, and it kind of just works like a mat of working points at that point. And
Mm-hmm.
then you can just pull that mesh down, and it will it'll start making mesh elements throughout the thickness of a body.
Nice, nice.
And and like I said earlier, but mentioned earlier about the biasing in AIM, well, because
Yeah,
they've put it in AIM, now they've got it in Space Claim, so
very good.
got that too.
Yeah, so people that may be using older legacy tools for hex meshing, it's really we're definitely finding it a great way. I think if you listen to the podcast, you've heard Jim Peters talk about his LS Dynameshes, creating those in Space Claim now. It's really becoming a powerful tool, and it's far more than just a geometry generator at this point. It's really
Yeah.
getting to be powerful. Anything else in the Space Claim world worth talking about?
I think the only thing is just adding on the external
Hmm.
documents. They've
Hmm.
really tried to make it a bit more robust to link up, let's see, like totally link up with other PLMs, but to
Hmm.
be able to pull and make it easier to know where you're pulling from external document wise and
Okay.
not have to replace things. So,
Hmm. Hmm.
so it kind of fits into a PLM-ish form that way.
Hmm.
I think that's what they're going forward in the future.
Especially as people are building more and more assemblies, right? It's just
Hmm.
the days of a single. Well, hopefully for all of you listening in the podcast, I will have edited out the fact that my internet went down in the middle of our discussion here, but we're back, and it's a great time to segue from SpaceClaim into the Discovery Live tool. So I know they've been working really hard on Discovery Live. Big release recently. What's new in now with R2 after the last release?
Well, the big things would be in terms of simulation performance. They've really been working on speeding up and making use of current technology to really give as quick of a result as they can. And they've also added total pressure and dynamic pressure results for fluid.
Good.
And they've expanded more on topology optimization. You can have frozen regions. You can add 1D pull constraint. And you've got supports for you can support for displacement and acceleration loads now. So if you want to
Oh,
attach those as part of your TO study, you can do that. And there's been a big push into the rendering of results. So now
oh,
they've
I
got,
wasn't aware of
yeah.
that. So much nicer looking results now, huh?
Oh yeah, they've got ambient occlusion, so it looks all sorts of pretty. And so there's you can have some really nice shaded results here and there. Um,
It can make a difference. I think, especially when you're presenting to non-engineers, your results are more credible if you're showing them an old APDL plot versus maybe some new rendered plot. Even though the results are the same numbers, your credibility goes way up when you show the rendered one for sure. Yeah. Um, on the big change in Discovery Live with really speeding it up, is this taking or allowing new um, GPUs that are coming out? Is that kind of the big change? What's been done there?
I think everything's still along with NVIDIA.
Okay.
So it's one of those things where just make sure that your GPU is covered on that list, and that there's always kind of a risk in not having on the list. I've ran
Hmm.
into situations with customers that have had it not on the list and it still
Hmm.
worked, and some where it it definitely did not. But in regard to the overall performance, if you take they have that lovely little dump truck on the
Hmm.
highway kind of demo for the
Hmm.
airflow through
Right.
that,
Hmm.
and it solves 65% faster now.
Oh wow. Okay,
Yeah, so
that's a big difference. Yeah.
it's big for transient physics.
Hmm.
So if there's any sort of fluid flow, anything like that, it's going to be a lot faster.
Good, good, good. Or you can up your accuracy and still get the result in the same amount of time. So that's as good as well. So I like that capability. What else is new worth talking about in the Discovery Live product line?
Yeah, that's pretty much it. The other
Okay.
big thing was topology optimization,
Yeah. Yeah.
and with that, it's just the addition of the frozen places you can make, so you don't that won't get included in the rest of the
Hmm.
TO,
Hmm. Hmm.
and the addition of the loads,
Hmm.
displacement and acceleration loads.
Those I think that the frozen geometry was a biggie.
Hmm.
We've had some good success playing with it, but it limited what parts you could simulate using this really quick topological optimization. But now that you can freeze portions that it's not going to move those remove material there. That's a big change. And if you haven't played with topological optimization, I use the term play in a positive way from an engineering standpoint. Um, what I love about it is how fast it is, and it seems more intuitive to me to kind of watch it morph and change, rather than kicking it off and coming back a half an hour later and seeing what it found. Watching it go is really useful for me.
That is a really nice thing about yeah, live with that is that you
Hmm.
get that little recording and you get the
Hmm.
chart too with it, so you can
Hmm.
go back through different points and see. And like I said, it's all live, so to see it happen.
Yeah, I've seen it happen there. So really, really quick. And I know that lots of people may be using other kind of quick and dirty TO products out there. Highly recommend you take a look at the Discovery Live topological optimization, and I think you'll find it much more powerful. And you can, of course, take your models over to the rest of the ANSYS world and do other things over there. So you're not limited in a third-party product. So I think I'm always amazed at how much they pack into these releases. They're very busy engineers over there, the development team at ANSYS. What's the now? You've got so we just hit the high points right here. You're going to be talking in more detail next week. Is that right?
Yes, I've got a webinar next Wednesday, and that'll go over the official presentation through all of it. So whenever we hit here, I'm going to go through every point on that time.
Yeah.
So
and dig into the details and have pictures and things like that. So as always, do check out those webinars on brighttalk.com. And I hopefully you are done with the hurricane season and you're going to stay dry the rest of the year. So I appreciate you working through all of this. I know it's stressful, and we've been lucky at PADT with all the fires and the hurricanes and everything. I don't think it's really, or flooding, I don't think it's really infected anybody too much. So congratulations on surviving another hurricane season. made it to Delta, right? Was the last one?
Yeah. We still have a couple weeks left.
Oh, okay. So maybe I spoke too soon. So
we'll see what we get up to next.
Okay. But thanks for your time as always. It's always very informative, and we'll talk to you soon about something new in the mechanical side of things. So thanks a lot.
All right, you're welcome. Bye.
So lots to catch up on and some pretty cool features across a wide spectrum of tools. To see it all, please visit brighttalk.com and search for PADT to see this webinar and all the past ones. And since we're talking about 3D design tools in this episode, I thought it would be good to make our commercial a short reminder of PADT's product development services. Our PD team is the same group as our simulation consulting engineers, but they focus on the design, prototype, test of physical products. There are a lot of people out there who do design. What we do here at PADT is more about engineering. Design plays a critical role, but so does simulation, testing, material science, vendor selection, manufacturing, and especially project management. We solve the tough problems and find solutions that work in the real world. Whether you're solving a problem you found in the field, converting a napkin sketch to a technology demonstrator, or bringing a product from concept all the way to manufacturing, PADT's product development team is a great partner. So please do contact us at info@padtinc.com or give us a call at 480-813-4884. We'd love to talk to you about your product design and product development needs. Okay, let's talk about ANSYS stock in the news. The market's been pretty volatile, but ANSYS seems to be doing actually very well, even setting another all-time high this past Friday of $357.93 a share, and that went down by the end of the day. That was a peak around 10 o'clock, and it went down to $349.72 when the market closed on Friday, October 16th. So in comparison, the S&P 500 is up 18% for the year, and ANSYS is up 40%. So there's really not much I can add to that. With all the uncertainty and everything out there, it seems to be doing quite well, which is great to see. There's two stories to talk about in the world of ANSYS news. One story is how it's kind of a threshold. The ANSYS Startup Program has doubled its size in 2 years, and over 1,000 companies across the world and across industries have taken part in the ANSYS Startup Program. I know PADT is very active in it. We have quite a few companies that are part of our version of the Startup Program that we do with ANSYS, and 1,000 companies around the country and around the world actually is a pretty impressive number. So that's a lot of new companies doing new things and using simulation to get to market faster, help them raise money, etc. So pretty exciting stuff. The other article I want to talk about is how Cummins is using Ansys for a complete digital transformation of their R&D around advanced diesel engines. So do check out the Ansys website, the news. They did a press release on this to get some of the details. It is a great example of how simulation can make a product, get a product to the next level. Cummins has really embraced the use of simulation to do that in a really good way. And it's a fantastic example that we should all take a look at and try and emulate in the ways that make sense for our companies. PADT news, we only have one announcement that we added an employee in New Mexico. We've had an office in Albuquerque for quite some time, but Art Newcomer is moving from our Colorado office to our Albuquerque office, and he supports our 3D printing customers in Colorado and New Mexico. So he'll be doing the same thing, just from Albuquerque instead of the Denver area. So we welcome him to New Mexico, and we're glad we're going to have him there to support our customers across that beautiful state. There are 3 blog posts on the Ansys blog that are worth mentioning, in my opinion. The first is called The Top 4 Applications in Ansys Discovery, and it does take a look at exactly what the title says. 4 different applications examples in the Ansys Discovery product. So that's perfect for what we were just talking about in today's podcast. The second one is really something that we've been spending a bit of time on, and using Ansys Cloud. And it's on Microsoft, especially using Ansys Cloud on Microsoft Azure. And it's a vital resource for business continuity during the pandemic. And we certainly found that with many of our customers, as well as ourselves, that solving in the cloud was very beneficial and gave us the flexibility we needed when we couldn't necessarily come into the office, or things were happening that didn't allow us to access the hardware that we needed to access, or same with our customers. So check that article out as well, that blog out as well. And then the third is part of a series. There's a whole bunch of articles about some of the startups that are part of the startup program. In fact, there's an article about the fact that they got to 1,000. This is called Autonomous Radar Systems, Arbe Innovates with Ansys Startup Program. And it's about how they use the software through the Ansys Startup Program to really make a very cool radar system, very small radar system. So check that out as well. We'll have some articles on the PADT blog coming up in about a week, hopefully. Just got to find some time to put them up there. And then let's take a look at upcoming events. As mentioned in previous episodes, we're cramming a lot of stuff here in these last 3 months of the year, and that continues. Of course, the webinar that we were just discussing on the 21st on design and digital engineering updates in Ansys 2020 R2, that is on brighttalk.com. And as I said, on the 21st from 11 to 12 Phoenix and Pacific time, which should be easily accessible either on our padtinc.com/events or going to brighttalk.com. Next, we have another webinar. Actually, the next day, we're focusing on new powerful Ansys electromagnetic capabilities for EMI EMC simulation. So different group of people. That's why it's just a day later. And really looking at what's new over on the electronic side with EMI and EMC. Then one of PADT's new employees in the manufacturing department is going to be taking part in an Arizona Technology Council webinar on funding opportunities for advanced manufacturing. So this is looking at how to raise money to try out and explore new ways of making things. And we're very happy to be talking about how we do that at PADT. So that is going to be on 10/27. The October 27th, and from 9 to 10. It's part of the Arizona Technology Council's events. So you can find that on our event page, or if you go to the Arizona Technology Council's events page, you can register there as well. And then the last event for the month of October is our third webinar of the month, or maybe it's the fourth because we already did one before today. New Ansys electronic desktop capabilities for electronic design, validation, and sign-off. So this is going to be on the 29th as well at 11 o'clock. So we hope you can take part in one of those webinars. And in November, just as an update, we will be doing the Governor's Celebration of Innovation Awards. PADT is a sponsor, an active member, and I'll be speaking a little bit at that. And that's the big gala event for technology in the state of Arizona. And it's going to be virtual this year, needless to say, from 4 to 7:30 on the 4th of November. And on the same day starts the equivalent event at the New Mexico Tech Council called Experience IT. And that's their conference. They break it up into 2 days instead of a full day. And I'll be speaking as well. We'll talk more about that probably in the next podcast. And that's on the 4th and the 5th of November. And then we finish up the month with another Technology Council event, which is the 8th Annual Aerospace Aviation Defense and Manufacturing Conference. And that's going to be on the 12th. So more about that, as always, on our events page on the PADT website. And that sums everything up for this podcast. I want to thank everybody for listening once again. Don't forget to subscribe to our newsletter at www.padtinc.com/opt-in and spread the word about the podcast. And don't forget to subscribe to the podcast itself at whatever tool you use to get your podcasts. And don't hesitate to reach out to tell us what you think about the podcast. So we'll talk to you later, and have a good 2 weeks. Thank you for joining us for the All Things ANSYS podcast, episode 74. As a reminder, this podcast is not affiliated in any way with ANSYS Inc., and the opinions expressed are those of the people on the show only and not of their current or former employers. For more information, visit www.padtinc.com/blog, and please share your thoughts and questions through an email to podcast@padtinc.com. See you next time.